opportunity to visit with some of our students who've been through this process. A little bit later, you're actually going to break out and talk about the CASs. CAS, you're going to hear that a lot over this next week, is your centralized application service. How many of you have already opened an account with your centralized application service? Okay, look around you. These are our experts. Okay, those who have started their CAS. You already are an expert. You're already head and shoulders above everybody else. So, one of your first goals today is going to be to open up your CAS if your CAS is open. You'll see that I have a handout up here on when your CAS opens. So your centralized application service may not be open yet, or it may be open but you can't submit yet, or it may be open and you can submit. Which one is that? There's only one that is open that you can submit right now. PA. Okay, somebody knows their stuff. Good job. Some of you, your CAS is open. You can start entering into it, but you cannot submit yet. Okay? And for some of you, your CAS does not open until later in the summer, but what you can do is create your documents in a Word document and then later transfer them to your CAS. Okay? Any questions about how that process works? And each CAS is different. We'll go into that later in your breakout sessions. Okay? Any questions about how this week works? Primarily in the mornings. You've all seen the schedule. It's 8 to 12. The labs open at 7 a.m. if you need access to computers, things like that. And in the afternoon, you'll have some individualized time where our staff will be roaming around, helping you, and things like that with editing. You also have access to the Writing Center. Are they coming in to present to us at all?
I think that they were supposed to come in today, but...
Are they coming in today?
They're coming in today at 10:30 and tomorrow at 8.
I think that's what they told me too. So.
Okay, so the Writing Center staff, of which Catherine is one of their staff this summer, is open for you specifically this week to help you with editing. It's free. Please use those services. We will have breakfast available this morning, tomorrow, and Wednesday morning.
And
right?
I think we'll...
I think it's just the 3 days.
I think she did just the 3.
Yep.
It'll be different stuff each day. So.
Different stuff each day, so feel free to load up and have a healthy breakfast before you get started. Any other housekeeping things that we should chat about? I know some of you have to come and go. That's okay. Feel free to come and go as you need to for work or studying or things like that. And hopefully we can assist you. Throughout the summer, we are available to help you with editing, making sure your application is okay, ready to submit. Please use us. As well as some of our peer mentors that are available for you. We have resources throughout the room. These are our binders that are former students' applications. So if you really want to look at what a PA application should look like, feel free. These may not leave the room. You may not take photos of them. That's called plagiarism. Please do not do that. And then we have a ton of other books. Over on this table we have directories of different schools. So if you are trying to figure out what school you want to go to, what dental school works for you, feel free to use these. Unfortunately, almost all of these books are going to a computerized version, and so we've kept some of the older ones. Things don't change too much with these schools year to year, so that's why some of the older version books are here. Then we have a ton of other resources here for you. Writing about me. Writing about yourself is one of the hardest things you will ever do. So we have some great books. Medical school essays that made a difference. So if you get stuck and want to read some essays, help yourself to some of these things. The not so short introduction of getting into medical school. The medical school interview. So lots and lots of great books up here with a ton of resources. And so feel free to use those. So we're going to get started this morning with our wonderful group of peer mentors who have been working with us for the last year in our office. And I'm going to let them introduce themselves, and then we're going to have kind of a moderated discussion with them, and they're going to share their pearls of wisdom with you.
I just wanted to add one thing
Sure.
first. So for those breakout rooms, you guys are probably wondering what you're doing. I've assigned you to a specific room with a specific mentor who's going to be in there. And what I'd like for everyone to do is go over the CAS systems, kind of open it up. I want them to kind of show you what it looks like. They can answer specific pre-dental, pre-med, or whatever, whichever you're going into, specific questions. So, you know, think of the ones that you have while you're in there with them. And then I'll just be popping in just to make sure that everything's going fine and nobody has any specific questions. Is anybody, I know we had one pre-pharmacy student sign up. Is anyone pre-pharmacy? No, I guess they're not here. Okay, well, that's fine then. Yeah, all those rooms are open. I checked. Yep. If they're not for some weird reason, just let me know, but they are. Awesome. So, okay.
So, would you guys want to just introduce yourself, maybe name what your major was and where you're going for grad school? I'll start, Andrew.
Yeah, my name is Andrew King. My major was biology, minor chemistry, just like 90% here. I'm going to the University of Louisville School of Dentistry. I also am doing the Army Scholarship Program, so if you have any questions about that, feel free to pull me aside as well.
I'm Edgar Judd. I majored in biology, and I'm going to the Southern College of Optometry in Memphis, Tennessee.
I'm Catherine Wilcox. I majored in chemistry. I'm going to the University of Utah School of Medicine.
Ryan Lofthouse, and I majored in psychology. I'm going to Rocky Vista University College of Osteopathic Medicine.
I'm Brian Thompson. I majored in biology. I'm going to Toro University, Nevada School of Occupational Therapy.
Yay. Well, thank you guys for being here this morning. And you can be off enjoying your last free summer. We really appreciate your expertise and spending some time with us. So, if I were to ask you, what was something that you wish you would have known when you were sitting in these seats? What one piece of information would you wish you would have known when you were sitting right here last year?
You guys are
You
going
guys
to
can
get
go
there.
first. You don't have to go in order.
Yeah, you guys are going to get there. You're going to apply, get accepted, get multiple interviews. I mean, of course, be nervous, but be confident as well, because you guys are going places.
Anybody else? Pearls of wisdom you would have known.
For med school, I feel like applying took basically a whole year, where like you started with your pre-med committee packet, like in what, April? And I didn't get acceptance till April. So it literally is a whole year of like the summer of your applications, then secondaries, prepping for interviews, and like waiting. So just be patient.
I wish I would have taken a little bit more time to study the schools I really wanted to go to. There were a few places that offered me interviews, so I was like, no, I actually don't really want to go there. So I just rejected the interviews, so that was like some wasted money. So I wish I would have done a little bit more research to be sure where I want, maybe would want to.
Would you mind if we chat about money for a little bit? You guys are going through a very expensive time. I'm not going to lie. You're entering into a very expensive career. Andrew and I were just kind of calculating the value of his scholarship, because he gets a living stipend plus tuition plus everything because he's doing the military, and we're valuing that at over $400,000. So you're entering into that much debt. You all should know that right now, unless you're PA or something else. And the application process is also going to be a very expensive process. Many of you have already taken an MCAT, and you're planning to take a second entrance exam, so you know the costs start adding up. Would you mind sharing a little bit of financial information, maybe how much you spent, if you feel comfortable, and how you finance that, where the money came from to do that? Because it does have to come at set times, right? So, do you feel comfortable sharing?
Yeah, I'm fine. So I applied to 12 dental schools, and I think just on applications I spent about $1,500. I did also get fee assistance, which I'm sure Rita will talk
We'll be
about
talking
that.
about the fee assistance program later. It's on the schedule for later today, I think. If you're interested in that, I'll have a little breakout where I'll chat with you about the fee assistance program.
So that paid for 3 of my schools that I applied to, so I only paid for 9. But overall, with all my applications, with taking the entrance exam, all my travel expenses for interviews, I spent about $5,000.
So I only applied to 3 schools, and it was just, and I'm optometry, so it's going to be different for obviously med and dental students. And also I felt really comfortable with my application, but we just narrowed it down to specific places so we wouldn't be spending an extra $150 per school. What Brian said is very true. Research it. Don't apply to a school that you're not going to be interested in going to, because it'll save you money in the long run. But between the optometry admissions test, the applications, and travel, hotel, plane, I traveled with my wife and my son to all 3 of the areas and spent about $3,000 total. But that's on the lower end. I understand that that's on the lower end. And I paid for it out of pocket just because I've been saving for this my entire life. So I was ready for it. And again, that could also be very different for some people.
Yeah, I spent about $3,000 just on applications, and I didn't have to fly anywhere to interview. All my interviews I could drive to. And then that's not counting the MCAT either. So it is expensive, and just like money I had saved and some support from family also.
Ryan had it cheap.
Yeah, I think the early acceptance program.
How many Rocky Vista EAPs? Woohoo! Cheap.
So I paid a $2,000 deposit at the end of the year. I also got the fee assistance.
Yeah, did that include your deposits?
No.
No.
That did not include deposits.
Oh, mine did.
Yours did.
Yeah.
My deposit was only like $100.
Right.
So that's not.
Ryan's was 2,000. That's the difference. That's the difference. Brent?
Yeah, I've always spent probably around 2,000 total with travels, and I had paid 2 deposits because I got accepted way early to one school, and then to my top choice later on. So I think the deposits get you too.
So that can happen. You can get accepted to a school that's not your top choice, but because of the time frame here, you're going to have to pay a deposit to secure that seat while you're waiting for your top choice school. We see that happening a lot. It's kind of a real sunk cost of doing business, unfortunately.
Sorry, going back to the advice one. That was my advice, and that's exactly what I did. I think I got all 3 of my interviews within a week and a half of each other. Granted, that was a lot of traveling, especially with a baby, but then I had the luxury of thinking about all 3 of the schools with my wife, talking about it, weighing everything, and there was no pressure on the deposits. So, but again, if you do have 12 schools to go to, that could be a little bit different. But if you group them together, you might be pretty tired, but it works out to where you can think about it a lot instead of having to stress about paying $500 for a deposit for one and then another, just depending on how you get into your schools.
Yeah, and for those of you who are PA, you will see the earliest of interviews. Typically, we've seen some PA interviews in August. Last year, I think we even saw some DO interviews in August as well. So this season starts pretty early for you. So get ready. Once you submit your primary application, you'll get requests for secondary applications. And then as soon as you submit those, sorry, I should turn that off. How soon did you guys get secondaries once you started, submitted?
I got secondaries pretty fast, like within a week of sending my application to the schools. So just be prepared, like if you send your application out to 20 schools, you're gonna get 20 secondaries, like in that week. So in your summer, start pre-writing your secondaries. So if you submit your application end of June, or in May even, and then if you're done with the MCAT and everything, Google the schools you want to go to, because a lot of the secondaries are online, and then start pre-writing them, because then you at least have some material to help for return those faster.
Sorry, secondary application? Or secondary,
Um,
what do you mean by that?
Yeah, secondary application. So with med schools,
All schools, almost all of
so
them.
you send your primary application, which is what you're working on this week, which are what are examples in this folder. And then you get secondary applications back, and they're like more specific questions, maybe like, why do you want to go to this school? Tell me about a time where you overcame an obstacle, like interview type questions.
Okay.
And then those are a fee. So it's like, for me, it was up to like $115 per secondary.
Well, I was also advised that you could request waivers for some of those fees as well.
We'll talk about the fee assistance program later. I think that's on your agenda later
Yeah.
today.
I will
We'll
let you
chat
know
about
that the AAMC actually, this year, they've upped the amount. So if you're applying to medical school, they actually will cover fee assistance for up to 20 schools
Yep.
this year. So if that's something that you're
They
eligible
realize
for and you can get,
Mine too.
like Rita said, we'll talk about that later in the week, but up to 20 schools, that's quite a lot. If you are able to get as many as that covered, that's,
Yeah,
I
because
do
they realize
see.
that's how many you should be applying to. The majority of our students maybe who are applying MD and DO will apply to 12 to 15 of each. Dental, you heard 12 to 15 schools. It depends on your GPA and your entrance exam score, where you fit. We'll be talking about that later this week, and we'll be helping you with school selection if you'd like.
yeah, and of the schools, some of the medical schools and dental schools and stuff that I've talked to, one of the biggest pieces of advice they say is apply early and interview early. Don't wait, and even in optometry school, I think that was who it was that told me, don't wait and be that last person because they don't have many options. If you're gonna interview, right at the beginning, because then you have more options. If you wait till the end and you're like, this is the only time that works for me and it doesn't work for them, you're not interviewing. So apply early and interview early.
One of the biggest pieces of advice that hopefully you get is you should be hitting submit as soon as possible. Your chances decrease significantly the later in the application cycle you apply. Most all schools have rolling admissions. You need to be taking advantage of that. We have seen that historically year after year after year. Same thing with your secondaries. Early secondaries get you an early interview, which equals early success. So.
You have a full week to have your application all ready.
Yep. What questions do you guys have of these guys? This is your chance to pick their brains.
I think I'm just not reading that, so.
This is last year's, I apologize,
Oh, okay.
so we'll be redoing it and sending it out to you.
Just, I know that like for Med at least, the services are open, but like when.
For
is
dental,
it, like,
you
June
cannot,
15th that
you are
submit
open,
it?
that's us. Oh,
What are you talking about?
oh, the 14th. For dental,
No,
No,
Med.
for like pre-medical, when do they submit? How long do we have until we want to be pushed?
for med, May 31st.
That is like.
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
So, I noticed Emily's not here.
Right.
So, I mean, are a lot of the same.
PA schools start today. So if you are
That's
pre-PA,
why Emily's not here.
that's why Emily's
She's
not
at
here, she
school.
started school today.
Yep.
Well, so a lot of these services, a lot of the same processes are similar.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, almost the exact same questions.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, the portal information is somewhat similar. There are some differences, and they'll cover those in the breakouts. We're happy to help those of you who have a cast that's not represented by a peer mentor. So, other questions that you want to pick their brains, ask them stuff about. Hopefully you've had a chance to chat with them as peer mentors. What else would you have liked to have known in this process?
It's okay to have fun while interviewing too.
Wait a minute. How much fun?
Honestly, a lot of my interviews, I felt very relaxed. They weren't stressful situations. They weren't trying to drill me and make me feel uncomfortable. I mean, there were maybe a handful of questions in each interview that I was like, oh crap, I didn't prepare for that. But for the most part, they're just trying to get to know you, see what kind of a person you are, because they're trying to see if you're the kind of person that they want to be interacting with for the next 4 years, because that's exactly what you're going to be doing.
I would say, like, try and be focused on each thing you're working on. So right now is your time to, like, really get that MCAS score you want and to work on your primary application. You know, and then once that's done, you can start thinking about secondaries. And then once those are done, you can start thinking about interviews. And once interviewing is done, you can start thinking about, like, what your ranking of schools are, you know? Like, if you're here thinking about interviewing questions, you're missing, like, 2 steps.
Yeah, very good advice.
Try to be patient. You're going to be doing a lot of waiting. You've been waiting forever to finally get this chance to apply, and then you're going to wait forever for somebody to send you something, and then you're going to submit your secondaries, and you're going to be waiting forever to hear back about an interview. So just learn to be patient and take that time, like really use that time, like Catherine was saying, to focus on what's important, whether that's school and the semester you're in at that time, or researching the interview questions that you're anticipating and stuff like that. Just be patient and use your time wisely.
And I'd also add, don't stop doing your activities, because let's hope this doesn't happen. You have to resubmit an application a year from now. I hope you're not sitting here again, but if you have to be, that's fine. We've had students who have resubmitted 3 times in a row and before they got in. Don't stop doing your activities, add new things, because guaranteed the next time you apply, if you're applying to the same school, they're going to say, oh, what new things did you do since you reapplied the previous time? So I know that's short, very long-sighted, but please keep that in mind.
And they might ask you in an interview, what have you been doing? So you don't want to just be like, oh,
Since you,
nothing.
yeah. So you hit submit in the summer, but you may not interview until the fall, and they may ask you, so what new activities have you been doing? You better be doing some activities, okay? It doesn't just come to a screeching halt now and you're just waiting. So keep doing what you've been doing. During the fall semester, we offer what we call Lunch Bunch for those of you who are here in Cedar City, because we realize this is a very stressful time for you. So is it Tuesdays we're going to do it?
I think we did, yeah.
Tuesdays,
Tuesday, yeah.
at lunchtime. We do it from like 11:30 till 12:30, so if you have an 11 o'clock class, you can make it a part of it. We feed you lunch, and we talk about interview questions. So we brainstorm. If you've gone on an interview, we love for you to share maybe that experience. So it does become kind of a support group for those of you who are here on campus. Or if you're not on campus and you want to come back for it and you're in town, feel free to do that. What else? Anything else you guys can think of?
It takes a long time to write your personal statement in a way that you like it. So be patient with yourself and give yourself time to look over it again and again. And then if you can find someone who is your proofreader, that is awesome. And thank that person so much. But it really helps if you have someone who knows you well, who can read your stuff for you and be critical, because you're not always critical of yourself, especially when you've read it a bunch of times.
Yeah, don't be too concerned if you have a dozen rewrites of your personal statement. It's painful. It's definitely a work in progress.
But you still want it to be you. You don't want somebody to rewrite it for you, because when you go for, it's med, right, where you have to do those ethical questions and then the MMIs and stuff, and then your secondaries, if you don't know how to write and someone else writes your personal statement and then you have to do the writing for the secondaries and all that other stuff, they're going to be like, this isn't you. Who wrote this paper? It's not you. So you want it to be edited and make sure that there's no spelling mistakes and stuff, but make sure that it's still your personal statement. It still comes from you. Make sure whoever's editing it doesn't change the whole thing.
And a lot of interviews have a writing component, so if you completely butcher your writing in your interview, they're going to know that you didn't write your application.
Yeah, I was just going to show you that Kaplan offers personal statement consulting.
Or you can just send it to all the RHS staff and we'll all read it.
Check that out. Look at that. I am in the wrong business, okay? $700, just to review, $200 for to consult, $799 for 3 hours. Oh my gosh. So there are people out there using these services, and they are your competition, okay? So does that tell you how much energy you should be putting into this process? Okay, I know our application workshop is no extra cost to you, and it really is kind of the culmination of your being in RHS, but really put forth the effort into your personal statements that you would be putting into this if you were paying this amount of money, okay? You would be buckling down and really, if you were paying $800 to do some consulting on your personal statements. Next year, for those of you who don't know, you will all be what we call mentors. You go into the mentor category of RHS. There are no RHS fees for you. Yay! So, but we would love for you to be mentors, and that means if we're having an event, if you're on campus, even if you're out of town, we would love to have your help. We will be also hiring peer mentors that will staff our office, and we'll be chatting about that later in the week. But we are so thankful that you guys have gotten to this point, and we want to be of as much assistance to you this week as possible. So if there are no other questions, maybe we'll break early and move to the individual rooms so that you can chat about your CAS systems with our peer mentors. Remember, this room is for you to use. There is a computer lab in the ELC that's also open to you if you don't have a laptop.
And there are computers in the writing center.
There are computers in the writing center. I'm going to put my cell phone up here just because if you're over there and need help, text me and I'll come over. And if you need any assistance, I'll be here all of the week. Casey will be here all week. Natalie will be here all week. Oh yeah, Dominican Republic trip goes. What else? Any other last minute pieces of advice for the whole group? Any other questions that you guys have? Okay, we are gonna go divide up by your discipline. So if you're dental, you're in 102, med 103.